Hey, this is Mark Hamner, and I'm going to demo some of the functionality of ChatGPT. So the first thing we're going to ask ChatGPT to do for us is to write a 500-word essay on Nelson Mandela. So here's the prompt I'm going to use for that. I want you to act as an essay writer. I will give you a topic, and you will write 500 words on it. The first topic is Nelson Mandela. I'm going to hit enter, and ChatGPT is going to get started. Now, one thing that you'll notice as it gets started is it does a simulated typing interface. So I'm going to pause the recording once it gets going so we don't have to sit there and watch it type. Right, as you see, it's now getting going with our essay. I'm going to pause it for just a moment. And it has now completed our essay. As you see, it's pretty well written. It covers lots of points. You have a timeline, you have a summary. It's pretty good. So one thing that I was curious about is, will this be flagged by plagiarism checkers? So I just grabbed the contents of ChatGPT's essay, Control C. I'm using Grammarly's plagiarism checker. So I just hopped over here, Control V, paste it in there, and click Scan for plagiarism. As you see, significant plagiarism found, but that's good news because we'll be able to hopefully tell if people are using this to plagiarize. And the reason for that is because ChatGPT is using the web as a source for this, so it makes sense that plagiarism checkers are also finding this content on the web. All right, so let's try another example. Let's ask ChatGPT to write a 2-page summary of To Kill a Mockingbird. Okay, hit enter here. And ChatGPT will think about it for a moment, and then it will be off. Have noticed that one thing that does tend to happen with ChatGPT, just because it is so overloaded right now, its servers are so overloaded, is sometimes it just takes a while to get going. And sometimes it locks up and you have to do things multiple times. And that appears to be what's happening here. My guess is it's probably not going to eventually come back. Oh, I was wrong. My apologies, ChatGPT. It just took a minute. And here it goes, telling us about To Kill a Mockingbird. So I'm going to pause the recording so we don't have to watch it type. Currently, as of this recording on January 19th, 2023, there's no way to turn off the typing interface, although you can integrate ChatGPT with your own applications through an AI. But if you're using the web interface, you've got to watch it type. So I'm going to pause the recording and unpause when it's done. Okay, ChatGPT has now finished its writing. It's a little 2-page summary on To Kill a Mockingbird. So I am going to grab this again, and I'm going to simply Control C, hop over to Grammarly's plagiarism checker, Control V to paste it in there, and click Scan for plagiarism. Just give it a moment to do its thing. And you see again significant plagiarism found, which again, in this instance, is a good thing. I will also say that ChatGPT does not usually have the ability to cite primary sources. And that is because it's finding this stuff on the web. And so its sources are stuff other people have written that's out on the internet, and perhaps the other people's stuff cites the primary sources, but ChatGPT is very much going through that intermediary there. Now, I have seen it cite primary sources before, but that is in instances where it finds a very specific paper that gives it everything that it needs, and that paper already cites the primary sources, and it just includes those citations as part of what it spits out here. So just FYI on that. Okay, so now we've got that. Let's continue on our journey with To Kill a Mockingbird, and let's ask ChatGPT to write a persuasive essay arguing that the themes of To Kill a Mockingbird are still relevant today. Write a persuasive essay arguing that the themes of To Kill a Mockingbird are still relevant today. And go. All right, give it a minute to get going. And here we go. I'm going to pause it while it does its thing so we don't have to watch it type. Okay, it's completed its persuasive essay. Just scanning it, you can see that it talks about the prominent themes of To Kill a Mockingbird. And it talks about how they were relevant in the book. And it talks about how they are relevant today. And it goes on through several important themes there. It includes a conclusion and all the stuff you would expect in a well-written essay. So I'm just going to do our Grammarly check again. Control C, go back here over Grammarly, delete what's already in there, paste it in there, and scan for plagiarism. I'm curious as to whether this is going to come back. Okay, no plagiarism found. So that's less than great, right? It probably had to pull from primary sources such as news articles, excuse me, from secondary sources such as news articles, essays already written. It had to find a lot of different sources to put together a combination of what the themes of To Kill a Mockingbird are, as well as current events from today. So when Grammarly scanned, that combination was enough to defeat its plagiarism checkers. So that is a caution, something we need to at least be aware of. Okay, let's mix it up a little bit, and let's ask ChatGPT to be a film student. You are a film student. And FYI, these initial prompts like you are this, you are that aren't always necessary, but they do at times help ChatGPT focus its responses into a certain type of format or a certain type of class or genre. All right, so as a film student, I'm going to say I need to write 500 words on the films and genres that influenced Star Wars. Okay. And ChatGPT is off to the races. We'll pause here to give it a moment to do its thing and be right back. And we're back. And ChatGPT has finished our little write-up on Star Wars. You see it talks about the various genres that influence it: science fiction, fantasy, epic, swashbuckling, war, and it includes a summary, a conclusion, and a lot of good detail in there. One interesting thing that you will notice is that from time to time on certain topics, you will get a regenerate answer or a do it again button. And when you do that, you'll find that it can answer the same query in multiple different ways, which is interesting. So sometimes the answers you get from ChatGPT may be a little bit different each time you ask, which is both cool and a little bit scary when we're considering things like plagiarism and things like that. Okay, so let's move on from writing and reading and things like that and take a look at some math problems. I'm going to keep most of the math pretty basic, but I have actually seen it be able to do things like calculus and things like that as well. But let's just do some very basic algebra. Given the equation 1/2 x equals 90, solve for x. Okay, and this should only take a second, and it's going to both solve the equation and it's going to tell us how it got there. So it tells us to solve for the equation 1/2 x equals 90. We start by isolating x on one side of the equation. We do this by multiplying both sides of the equation by 2. 1/2 x equals 90, multiply both sides by 2, x equals 180. So the value of x that makes the equation true is 180. So it can solve, that is a very simple algebra, pre-algebra type problem, but it can do much more complex problems as well. It can also do word problems as far as math goes. I'm not going to type all this in, but I will go over it briefly. A person is 100 meters from the base of a tree, observes that the angle between the ground and the tree is 18 degrees. Estimate the height h of the tree to the nearest tenth of a meter. Go ahead and run that through, and it's going to tell you what it's doing. It's going to use the tangent function. The tangent of an angle in a right triangle is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. And it goes on and gives us further explanation, gives us the equation it's going to use, and it does it. And then it says, hey, I used a calculator. And it gives us the answer. And I did verify this versus the site I actually found it on to make sure this answer was also the answer that they were looking for. Let's give it the quintessential math word problem. The two trains that are leaving that station. Two trains leave that station at the same time, one east and the other west. The eastbound train travels at 95 miles per hour. The westbound train travels at 85 miles per hour. So we've given it that. And then the question, which I forgot to paste in the first time, is how long will it take for the two trains to be 396 miles apart? I'm going to go ahead and ask it this. And it tells us the formula it's going to use and exactly the steps it's going to go through to find the answer. And it tells us it'll take 2.2 hours for the trains to be 396 miles apart. So you see it can do some word problems. So let's talk about my area, programming. Can ChatGPT write code? The answer is yes. Yes, ChatGPT can write code. There is a famous algorithm in programming called FizzBuzz, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do that for us, to code that for us. So the prompt I'm going to use is write a Python program. Python is one of the most popular programming languages in the world, to do the following. Write a solution that prints integers 1 to n, labeling any integer divisible by 3 as fizz, integers divisible by 5 as buzz, and integers divisible by both 3 and 5 as fizzbuzz. And go. ChatGPT is going to think about it a minute, put its programming hat on, and do its thing for us. So we'll just give it a moment. And here it goes. Here's a Python program that's going to do what you asked me to do. And if you'll see in a minute, you'll see it will actually spit out a different little program-looking interface so you can easily copy and paste. It literally includes a copy code button there. So as you see, it is writing a function in Python that's going to look and determine if the integer is divisible by 3 and 5 or 3 and 5 and do the appropriate fizzing and buzzing according to it. And it actually even includes, here's how you test the program, and it's actually going to tell you, I believe down here, how to test the program with various things. And it also, I should point out, includes a description of what the code is doing, which is really interesting as well. Okay, and so it's going to let it finish up here, and there you have it. All right, so that is FizzBuzz in Python. Now, one thing that ChatGPT does is it remembers your conversation. So another programming language that's very popular, especially in the Louisville area, is C#. It's a Microsoft programming language. So I'm going to say write the same thing in C#. Give it a second. So it's going to remember that it just wrote FizzBuzz, And it's going to say, okay, write the same thing in C sharp. You want me to write FizzBuzz in C sharp. So it's going to say, here's a C sharp program that does the integer thing. And it's going to go through and do that as well. I'm going to pause it just for a minute while it works through this. And I'm back. And you see here's a C sharp program that does the fizz buzzing. And indeed, this is a C sharp program that does the same thing. And it explains it again, which is kind of cool as well. So, and it can write in all sorts of programming languages. It can write all sorts of code that does various things. FizzBuzz was just a really super obvious one that I thought would be cool to demo. All right, so what if you want ChatGPT to help you teach a course? So I'm going to say, I am a college professor. I need to teach my students about string theory. Something FYI, I know hardly anything about. So I'm going to say create a lesson for me that is easy to understand. Create a lesson on string theory that is easy to understand. All right, good luck to you, ChatGPT. And as you see, here it goes. It'll already give me my lesson title, Introduction to String Theory. It's going to give me my objective. Students will be able to understand the basic concepts of string theory and its implications for our understanding of the universe. It tells me I need a whiteboard and markers PowerPoint presentation, which is optional. It's going to tell me exactly what to do. Begin the lesson by asking students what they know about the fundamental building blocks of the universe and tell me what to explain. It's going to tell me to use the whiteboard to draw some diagrams and explain things to the class, and it's going to give me just a very general lesson plan about that, including in the class by reminding the students that string theory is still a theoretical concept and a topic of ongoing research and debate in the scientific community. And they even recommend that we can give the students a short quiz to test their understanding of the basic concepts of string theory, or assign a short research paper where they can explore the specific aspect of string theory in more depth. And as you see, it did sort of have an issue here. Note string theory is and you see this quite frequently in ChatGPT. Again, their servers, the interest in this has just really skyrocketed. So their servers are very overloaded. So you'll see things like slowness. You'll see things like it getting hung up in the middle of an answer. It was at least almost done at this point. But you'll see all sorts of things like that that can cause it problems. So if we typed it again, it would probably finish. I am a college professor. I need to teach my students about string theory. Create a lesson for me that is easy to understand. And let it do its thing again. I'll pause the recording and we'll see if it's able to finish all the way this time. And I'm back, and this time ChatGPT was indeed able to finish, and it almost finished before. It just said, note, string theory is a complex and theoretical concept, so it is important to keep the lesson simple and easy to understand. All right, so it can also be creative. Let's ask ChatGPT to write a short story about two zombies in love. Should be interesting. All right, and here it goes. Once upon a time, in a world overrun by zombies, there were two undead creatures who had managed to find love in the midst of all the chaos. All right, so we will let it do its thing. I will pause it, pause the recording. And I'm back, and ChatGPT has completed our beautiful short story. Zombie A and Zombie Me met by chance one day while wandering the deserted streets of their city. They knew they were meant to be together. Just some real highlights. Despite the harsh condition they lived in, they always found ways to make each other laugh. And then unfortunately, oh, okay. Hey, this is a different version. I've asked ChatGPT to do this before. Um, Check this out. They spent the rest of their days together, and their love for each other only continued to grow stronger. I asked ChatGPT to write this story previously, and it had a tragic ending. Um, One of the zombies was taken down by some survivalists, and I like The Walking Dead, and the other zombie had to go on without them. So um, I'm happy that this one actually has a happy ending. So that's terrific. Okay, I paused the recording for just a moment and asked ChatGPT to write the story again. This one it did not get to finish because of server issues. Has a little bit of a cliffhanger here at the end. Um, However, you see it is different. In this particular version of the story, the other zombies are not happy with what they've got going on, and they attack them and drive them out of their zombie city. So a little bit of difference there. Might be a little different in various incarnations you get of this. All right. So now let's do some poetry. Let's ask ChatGPT to write a poem about trees in iambic pentameter. There's a large chance I'm misspelling that. And here we go. You see, it is indeed writing me a poem about trees. I'm not going to try to read it to you, but you see, there you go. And it just keeps going and generating the poem. We'll pause in a minute if it doesn't finish up, but yeah, okay, it's done. All right, so you see ChatGPT can also be creative. It can also, I believe it can tell jokes. So we'll ask it to tell me a clean joke because I don't want any not safe for work showing up on this recording. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. That is perfect for an academic presentation. Thank you, ChatGPT. So there's all sorts of things you can do with this tool.